Hello, everyone. I'm live, apparently. Dear, the Inchleys won today. Cotty and John, lovely to see you. Fiona, David, Jeff and Sue, hi. Hello, Simon. How you going? Fiona's got homemade chicken liver pate, one with green peppercorns, one without. Well done. Hello, Kay. Lovely to see you. I have, as per, I think I warned you, I had to buy my chicken liver pate this week, but Jill went and got some lovely, I think it's Red Hill chicken liver pate made by our old friend Bernie, which is very, very good. So I'll be making that recipe. I like the look of that David Libovitz recipe that I sent out. Yes, so I will be making that one day, but it's been a bit of a crazy week. So anyway, here we go. Shiraz. It's a beautiful day for Shiraz, actually, because the sun's out, but there's a little bit of a chill in the air. It's perfect. New hair, yes, thanks. But thanks for noticing, Fiona. I've gone a bit shorter and a bit slicker today. I'm very much enjoying it. Hi, Angela. How are you going? All righty. Moorooduc Estate, Magic Stalks Shiraz 2022. Hopefully you guys have got that too. Thanks, David. Right, get that open. Ready for a glass of wine. Problem with getting your hair cut is that you end up with little bits of hair all over your face. Decanter. I was looking at these decanters thinking I'm going to have to get some. Do you know the best thing, if you don't have high acid chemicals or whatever, the best thing to clean decanters with are denture cleaners. You know, probably not many people do know, but they're like giant aspirins. You fill the decanter up with warm water and you chuck in a couple of denture cleaners in there, and they dissolve and they clean all the junk away. Change the top a few times. Yeah, thanks, David. Fiona, yeah, that's different. Sterident, thank you, Kay. All right, here we go. Wine in decanter. I'm just giving it a really quick decant because it's young and it's a wine that does sometimes it's sometimes a bit closed in on itself when you first open it. I haven't had it for a few months now. Hello, Shell. Venison sausages, sweet potato fries and air-fried broccoli. Yum, delicious. David and Fiona decanted theirs an hour ago and it looks much better now. Okay, good-o, excellent. Well, I'm going to be seeing how it evolves in the glass. So into the decanter, into the glass, nice big glass, because I have a feeling I've got people descending on me at some stage. So Jill and Richard and Peter are out and about somewhere in the property. They're either in the kitchen or downstairs, because downstairs is very nearly finished, and they were threatening to watch Drinks with Kate downstairs rather than up here, but I don't know where they've gone. Lovely legs, absolutely, David. It's got some real kind of unctuousness to it, this wine. That smells delicious. This is Kay, you're going to have to remind me when we last tasted this wine together. But the 22, I remember last time we tasted it was good, but I think in my heart of hearts, I felt like it was a little bit young and a little bit tight. It's just, is this the plastic bag wine? Yes, Angela. I'll talk about that in a minute. Just a little reminder. Hello, Nina. Welcome, welcome. So this wine we've been making for a few years now, and it does spend some time in a plastic bag, absolutely. But I think when we looked at it last time, it looked a little not quite ready to go. It was very vibrant fruit, but a bit sort of elbowy, teenagery. And it's now really settled down. It's got these beautiful plums. Who said plums? Fiona. Yeah, really lovely plum fruit, but also incredibly black pepper spice. Really super. I know Kate and Nina live. It's good, isn't it? And a little bit of Tallulah saying hi. Yep, definitely some blackberry, Fiona. It's got all that sort of black plums, red plums, blackberry, black pepper spice. There's a sort of a cinnamony, star anise kind of exotic spiciness to it as well. And it's just leaping out of the glass. It smells fabulous. But for me, the pepper's really kind of coming through now, and I think that just that very quick decant probably just has helped it to open up a little bit for us. So that smells so yum. A little bit of red roses as well. That sort of rose perfume. All right. I was just saying before that everyone's kind of been a little bit slow to gather here at Moorooduc, and they're all sort of excited about having some wine and stuff. So if you're hearing a bit of muttering in the background, don't worry about that. Jill still hasn't reappeared, but downstairs is so close to being ready. The furniture's moving down there, and it's looking really exciting. So this time next week, they probably will all be watching from downstairs and sitting around on the lounges and enjoying themselves if they can make sure that the Wi-Fi is working properly. Now, what David, black pepper rather than white pepper we get in the Yarra Valley Shiraz? Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we get white pepper here as well, but for me, this one's got a real black pepper character to it. So just a little reminder of, and Angela, this is the wine that we originally, when we first did Drinks with Kate, the first one that we did, which I think was a 2018 or 2019, we released it in 2020 during one of the lockdowns, and I wrote a handwritten label telling you exactly what we'd done to it. So the commercial label that we made for it still follows that tradition and tells you exactly what was done for it. So in on March the 31st, it was picked and it went into giant plastic bags and covered in CO2 and sealed up. So we got carbon dioxide and the grapes all kind of working together to give us carbonic maceration, which gives you that sort of slightly lifted blackberry jube kind of aromatic. The black pepper definitely comes from the, thank you, Richard. The black pepper definitely comes from the grape variety, Shiraz, and this Shiraz comes from a little parcel of fruit that we get from the Osborne vineyard that I think I've told you before, but I'll tell you again. We for years we were like, oh, we must graft that Shiraz over to Pinot Noir or something else useful. And then Jeremy said, why don't we pick it and have a play with it? So that's what we did. The first time we tasted the first wine, okay, was it 2018 or 2019? I can't remember which vintage it would have been. Oh, there's a monster coming in the back door. I think it might be Jill. It was the 20th of August, 2020. This is the 2022, and I think we tasted it in the second half of last year, but I can't remember when. So I think we've tasted the 22 before. Maybe we haven't. Karen and Joan are there. Hello, my loves. The Shiraz is very smooth, lovely peppery flavour. Absolutely. Oh, Cody's saying that it's working well with the pate. Cody, I wish I'd kept that bottle too, the handwritten label. That was very cool. Hello, Jill. Welcome to Drinks with Kate. It's lovely to see you. Wave to everyone. Don't drop your eggs. Ah, lovely.
Hello, everyone.
The Osborne Vineyard, David, we don't talk about a lot because it's a vineyard that we've been working with for a long time. We don't make a single vineyard wine from it, which is why it doesn't get as much mention as the other vineyards that we do make single vineyard wine from. The Osborne Vineyard's a vineyard that was established down the other end of Derrell Road, on Foxy's Road in the mid to late 80s. Frank Osborne and his wife Pam owned it, and we made wine for them for a number of years under the Osborne label, which was available around Melbourne. We used to sell it when I was at Philip Murphy's. And sadly, Frank died of cancer quite a long time ago now. And the rest of the family didn't really want to continue making and selling wine, but they wanted to keep the vineyard. So we knew the fruit very well. So we said we'd like to lease it. We actually share the lease with 10 Minutes by Tractor. So they take half the fruit. We take half the fruit approximately. But this Shiraz was just kind of sitting there being eaten by the birds every year. So It's a very small parcel. We only make a barrel or so a year, and it's our wine that we play with. So we put it in bags. We let it do its carbonic maceration, and that was, as I said, that was on the 31st of March. On the 10th of April, we walked around on top of the bags over a period of 3 days, and then opened them up, transferred them to the vat, and sealed them with CO2. Smelled really delicious on the 14th, and so we kind of had a look at it again on the 16th, and it was actively fermenting. So wild yeast actively fermenting on skins with the stalks involved, but then we decided to destem it partway through the ferment on the 16th. And on the 19th, we pressed it off and sent it to barrique. It was bottled before Christmas. So that's how the wine was made. Lots of fiddling around, carbonic maceration to start off with. The really radical thing was destemming it partway through the ferment. We were all we'd all sort of thought that you couldn't really do that, but then Simon Black at Montalto was playing around with destemming partway through ferments. He said it worked well. We thought let's have a go, and it means that you get less of the stalky savouriness in the wine, but more of that lifted floral fruitiness, which is rather lovely. Linda's enjoying it with beetroot dip. Excellent. I think Peter and Nina have got a couple of dips because Pete said he wasn't much of a fan of chicken liver pate. Don't know what's going on there. But I mean, how's it with the baba ganoush? It's very good with the baba ganoush as well. I'm going to have a bite, and then Fiona can't spell licorice, but there is a licorice hint to it. Absolutely, Fiona. Yum. On Richard's bread crisps that Peter made this afternoon. Yum. It's really delicious. The flavour of the pate really brings out the sort of the red fruit and the meatiness of the wine. It's really yum. Kay's got peppercorn pate and beef sticks with plum sauce. Perfect. Excellent. Interesting, Karen and Joan. You've got the pate, but also some prawns, and they're working well with that. So this is a wine that's pretty flexible because it's not a heavy Shiraz. It's quite a light, fruity, lifted, floral Shiraz. Sorry, I had to eat that. My mouth was watering. I think the fattiness in the pate, because chicken liver pate, all the recipes that I looked at either had a huge amount of butter or a huge amount of chicken fat in it. So it's not great for the diet, but gosh, it tastes delicious, and that's why it's so creamy. And that fat emulsifies with the wine and kind of interacts with the acid and the alcohol and the fruit. And it's quite a lovely combination. The pepperiness of the wine also works really well with the pate. And if you've got peppercorns in your pate as well, then that's going to exaggerate the pepperiness of the wine too. Fiona, yours has got butter. Yes, most of the pate recipes that I looked at did have butter. The one that I sent out to all of you is from a book called Schmaltz, which is the Yiddish word for chicken fat. And that recipe is made with chicken fat rather than butter. And I'm quite interested in having a go at making that one day, but I'll have to collect up some chicken fat because I'm all out at the moment. I used to collect it, but it all got a bit out of control. So I cooked with it, got rid of some of it. So, but chicken fat's a great thing to save when you're roasting chickens or whatever. Rather yum. Exactly, Karen. We forget about our diets on holidays. Happy holidays. Fiona's got a stash of chicken fat in the freezer, but it's restricted for Hainanese chicken rice. That's a good thing to use it for. And that's the other thing. I think that's a good point, Fiona, that and I hadn't realised that you could successfully freeze chicken fat, but that's a really good way of dealing with it. Just collect it up in an old dip container or something like that, and then stick it in the freezer and keep it that way. Kay's saying, David, I have an interesting picture of clockworked oranged for Shiraz. I'm not sure what you're saying. Okay, I'm lost. Diet of pate, yeah, absolutely. Wine doesn't work with the dill cucumber. We tried to cut the fattiness of the pate. Cotty, that's a very good point. I think that pickles in general are really good with pate, but not really good with the wine. So I think that's where the problem lies, that the vinegariness and the dill character of the pickles don't really work with Shiraz, to my mind. So I think you just need to go full enjoyment of the fat and don't worry about cut it with the wine rather than with the pickles. Works very well. RK, bring your clockworked orange picture on Sunday, Fiona's saying, so that we can all look at it. So yes, we have a lunch this Sunday. It's the Robinson Vineyard lunch. Tim Dartle Paradise for 2018 pushed me over the edge. I've arrived in Shiraz, loving land. Excellent, David. We've got you onto Shiraz. Not all Shiraz is equal, I've got to say. And you've got to work out what style of Shiraz you like. I think there are a lot of warm climate Shirazes that for me are impressive, but I can't drink very much of them because they're heavy and they're very jammy. Whereas a cool climate Shiraz is much more to my taste. You get the spice, you get the floral and the floral lift and all that kind of thing. So, David, I agree. Jill, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking Garden Vineyard Pinot Noir 210.
Jill's drinking Garden Vineyard Pinot Noir 210 because she won't drink this, Fiona. Fiona said the litmus test is whether Jill will drink it. I don't think there's, apart from the occasional cornas and coat roti, we haven't convinced Jill to find any love in her heart for Shiraz, even the ones that we make. she's stubbornly again it. So we had to bring out some Pinot Noir for her. But I think that probably the pate would go very well with the Garden Vineyard Pinot too. So the aged Garden Pinots are amazing. They are, David, and I think that's it's a bit mean of them to be drinking Garden Pinot over there. But we've got a lovely, bright, meant in your mind, David. Oh, okay, got it. Sorry. Nina and Peter are having the Shiraz in a Pinot Noir glass. How's it going? Yeah, excellent. You haven't tasted it in a non-Pinot Noir glass, so you don't know. I think the shake glass for Shiraz, traditionally you want to drink Pinot Noir in a Shiraz in a glass like this. But I think because our Shiraz is so cool climate and floral, it will work also in a Pinot glass. So I think you can be sort of a bit loose with your glass shape for a Moorooduc Estate Shiraz. David, are you in a cheeky mood again tonight? Fiona and David are not driving on Sunday, so everyone has to look out. I'm a bit frightened already. So we have had, I've had some fabulous interest from people about our Adelaide trip. I'm coming back to the wine, don't worry. I'm just kind of going on a tangent because David and Fiona are keen to come. Yeah, very big lunch. Excellent. So if you're interested in coming and you haven't emailed me, there's still plenty of time, but I'm looking at the size of the trip and I'm thinking that if everyone who's sort of registered interest so far wants to come, that's probably quite a good size for the trip. So, hello, Michael. How are you? Off to your daughter's birthday, so not drinking yet. Well. You will have some delicious wines lined up. It's great to have you on live for a moment. You're off to Madrid. Well, and Kerala as well. Goodness me, Michael. You do travel a lot. And, I wanted to say, I heard you on ABC Radio the other week, which was slightly freaky. So Michael Woodward talking about important things about medicine, about old people, which was really cool. So well done. You might not miss as many as you think, Michael, because we're going to be having a little break in November because I'm off to Argentina as well. So couple of weeks off, and then we'll be coming back for Christmas. I did get your email, Shell. Absolutely. I thought I'd responded to it. I apologise. But yes, I've been looking at it and thinking about what's going to be best. And I think it'd be really fun to head over there. People can fly or drive, whatever they feel like, but meet up in Adelaide on the Thursday night and do live drinks with Kate and dinner somewhere, and then have 3 or 4 days in Adelaide going around the different wine regions. Maybe have a quiet day on the Sunday, go to the market for anyone who's feeling enthusiastic for breakfast or brunch, have a chill out on Sunday and go somewhere fun for dinner, and then maybe somewhere else on the Monday and finish up. Anyway, it's looking good. I've got lots of good ideas. I'm putting together a little itinerary, having a look at potential costings and how we can structure it. So yes, watch this space, but it's definitely happening. And I'm really excited about it. So that's going to be cool. It does sound fun, doesn't it, Cody? So I'm going to admit now to a little thing that hopefully doesn't put you off this wine. I'm going to describe it in 2 different ways. I'll do the positive way first, and then the thing that it reminds me of, which is a little bit weird. For me, it's a very Australian Shiraz characteristic, as well as the plums and the blackberries and the black pepper and the roses and the cinnamon and the star anise. I also get a little sort of choc mint kind of a character, which is you see a lot more in Coonawarra Shiraz and in Shiraz from the Barossa. It becomes quite, if you remember those peppermint patty mint patties with chocolate on the outside, you get a very strong choc mint character in those, even reminiscent of those after 8 choc mint thins. It's just got a little aroma of that, which is a very nice Australian Shiraz characteristic. One Weffer in mint, exactly, Fiona. And for me, as I know it smells like mint chocolate, but there's a little character that when I smell it, it just makes me smile a little, because when I was starting to learn about wine, and then when I was doing some wine judging and tasting lots of Shirazes from all around Australia, there's this kind of little lift of, and it smelled a little bit like Mortine or fly spray, and I can't move away from that with Australian Shiraz, even the Shiraz that we make. And it shouldn't be off-putting, because it's just a little character that just kind of pops into the back of my brain when I smell it. I go, oh yeah, that's Australian Shiraz, because it smells a little bit like Mortine. But a nicer way of describing it is choc mint, and for me, that little choc mint Mortine kind of character is right in the background. Up front, there's that licorice, that black plum, blackberry. We're starting to get a little bit more of kind of the lolly shop kind of smells. Indeed, you drink this Shiraz out on a summer's day and it keeps the mozzies away, David. I wouldn't tell everyone that. There's just a little secret between us, just a secret between friends. And it's just, the fruit's kind of coming up, and it's got this lovely sort of barbecued sausage character. So I imagine that, Shell, you were saying was going really well with your sausages, and particularly the spicing in your sausages. And I do think this is a very good barbecue wine, barbecued sausages, a little bit of lamb chop maybe there. Fiona's going with Airregard. A little bit of eucalyptus, absolutely, Coddy. UCAP. So yeah, but I think that the pate sort of settles that chocolatey, minty character down a little bit, and brings out the meatiness and the richness of the wine. Who's the super taster? Fiona. I love that combination of, I don't know what you're eating your pate with, but these crunchy bread crisps are perfect. If you happen to have a meat slicer at home, you can make these yourself. We get the bread a little bit stale and then we put it through the meat slicer so it's very thinly sliced. And then Peter brushes it lovingly with local olive oil and bakes it in the oven and makes these fabulous crisps. Lots of work to make a crisp, but awesome. And we'll be having those with cheese on Sunday, Pete. Yeah. So anyone who's coming on Sunday, our cheese has arrived. We're having osso arati with the Pinot Noir. It's going to be delicious. Eucap is now your cool word for eucalyptus. Absolutely, Shell. It's a good word. It's just a little shortened version of eucalyptus. Fee, I think you do need a meat slicer. What household could do without a meat slicer, honestly? Or a forklift truck, that Richard says. Sorry, why do you need a forklift truck? How can people do anything without a forklift? He wants to know. That's one of these problems when you get used to having all the mod cons. It's very hard to do without it. If you're a physician, you don't do stitches. That's a very good point. We have had a couple of meat slicer incidents at Moorooduc. The best one, actually, I probably shouldn't tell you about that while you're drinking wine and eating pate. We won't talk about meats, but yes, you do have to be very careful to slice the meat and not the hand. Not me. I'm okay. I've got all my fingers still. It was on a quiet day. Linda, we're not talking about it. No meat slicer for David though either. So there you go. Yes, we're not talking about it, Richard. So just a little top-up pour to get the David. Then we can get a huge 5 kilo prosciutto di Parma. Kay loved going to the local milk bar where they sliced meat for you while you waited. Do you know what you actually need to get, David? Forget about the meat slicer. You need to get a Spanish jamon, a whole leg of jamon and a jamon stand, and then you can lock it's got kind of screws at either end that you kind of lock the leg into place, and then you can just shave off bits of jamon with your jamon knife and eat it. Forklifts are a lot safer than meat slicers, Jeff McKeon says. Not sure about that, but yes, probably. And Kay, I think that's right. David's absolutely right that we're very impressed with your sliced meat. And instead of 1 cent lollies, mixed lollies, or did you get your mixed lollies as well? But I think a jamon. We've got a friend in England who we went to Spain with, and the next time I went to visit him the next year, he bought himself a jamon holder and leg of jamon, and very happily continues to use it to this day. It makes him super happy. It's also a good excuse when you're living in England to pop back to Spain every now and again to go and pick up a fresh jamon to put in the. That's your friend Richard Porter, Dad, if you were wondering. I'm a bit addicted to this pate, despite the fact that I didn't make it. Is the brand Red Hill Pate, Jill? Yeah. So keep an eye out for it. It's very, very good. I said that earlier. Our mate Bernie makes this. And he's an excellent cook, chef. I'm not sure if he's a chef, but he's an excellent cook. Anyway, and he makes awesome pies as well, but I don't know if he's still making pies, but he used to make incredible duck pies and all sorts of things. Very clever man. His pate is very good. Okay, what else do we need to discuss? Where do you get the pate, Jill? Cotty wants to know. Prime Cuts Butchers in Prime Meats. Prime Meats in Mornington has it.
Behind Main Street in front of the Chentro building. It's a very good bookshop.
Yeah, just across the road from the Chentro building in Mornington. Prime Meats. Prime Cuts. They have a lot of free range meats as well, so they're a good one to get to know if you're a local. They might sell this pate at Tully's as well, but it'll probably be about 10 times as expensive.
And he has his kitchen up in Flinders.
Bernie has his kitchen up in Flinders, Jill's saying. So you might even, is his kitchen open to the, he's got a little shop front up there. So if you Google Red Hill Pate, you might find his shop front, Cotty. If Flinders might be a little bit closer for you. Fiona wants to know. He's Jill's saying that he's the only person who does raspberry vinegar as well. Makes his own raspberry vinegar. Jeff and Sue, I don't think he does the duck pie anymore. That was a thing of the past in history. But check out, I think it's just pate these days, but I'm not sure. Jill's the expert, so no, he's not doing pies anymore. He does lots of things. Go check him out. He's on Instagram. Follow him on Instagram. Red Hill Kitchen, it's called. That's all the information I'm giving you. Blah, blah, blah. Someone else wanted to know, Fiona, anything stand out of the 2022 vintage? So 22 vintage was a lovely vintage. We made some beautiful wine from 22. Interestingly, it looks like we might be moving on to the 2022 Estate Pinot Noir fairly soon. I did say to our distributors that at the rate that they're selling it and we're selling it at Cellar Door, we'll probably finish up on the 21 the day before Christmas and move on to the 22, which is a dreadful time to change vintages. So we're working on that maybe happening a little bit earlier than that. We might pop. Now, did we had a look at the 22 Pinot Noir a while back when we thought it wasn't quite ready. So it will be interesting to have a look at it again. I'm going to look at it again first before I show it to anyone else, but we might pop it into the last box of the year just so that we've got a little preview of it before it gets released. Zach and Jack, hello, coming in late with the comments, questions. Any plans to transpose any of the Magic Stalks process to the other varietals or further experiments involve the current approach to Magic Stalks? Zach and Jack, that's a very good question. I don't know the answer because this is Jeremy's experiment. We have the rough play Pinot as well that we do different things to. We basically destem that and then we stomp on it for an hour and really squish it up. There may be an argument that we might want to try the Magic Stalks process on a parcel of Pinot Noir. That would be interesting. The current Magic Stalks, I think we're pretty happy with, but because we can't get more Shiraz from that site, we're kind of limited to making very small batch of it. And I really would have to ask Jeremy if he's got any grand plans to sort of do anything different or change it or continue doing. I think that the Magic Stalks Shiraz has been a really interesting experiment, as has the rough play Pinot. We decided about 12 months ago that we probably were a little bit flippant with the naming of these two wines. It probably came down to the fact that we were all going a bit crazy during lockdown. So we're looking at the branding and the naming of the two wines. But I think we're quite interested in continuing the experiment if we can continue to get appropriate fruit for it. But good question. You reckon, David, up there with McIntyre Shiraz? I think that's really interesting because I think it's quite different from the McIntyre Shiraz. But I think it's looking, for me, I'm really impressed with how delicious it's looking tonight because I think it looks much better than it did last time we looked at it. I think it's looking much more rounded. I think it's got that lovely complexity. But it's a fair. David's raving about it, Dad. He said 100% up there with the McIntyre Shiraz, absolutely. And I think that's right. I think that it is it's a different way of handling Shiraz. Thank you, Angela. I really like the naming and the branding as well, but I think the rough play Pinot people have been a little bit nervous about, because it sounds a bit violent. We're a bit violent with the grapes, but thanks, Jack and Zach. But the Magic Stalks Shiraz, we're just playing around with some ideas. But if we change the name, we'll make it very clear that this is the wine that was used to be known as Magic Stalks Shiraz. But yeah, I think it's done well in a very small circle, which is basically you guys. But I don't think we've really promoted outside of there, because it's such a small amount. Vines. Okay. Such a small amount. Vines. Okay. I think you'll find that Jeremy will veto that K. David thinks that the wine's a little more interesting than the McIntyre Shiraz, a bit more party in the palate. I will make sure that Jeremy, if he's not, Jeremy's kids' swimming lessons coincide with Drinks with Kate these days, so we don't get him on a regular basis. We were very lucky to get him last week to do oysters, but I would definitely pass that on, David. There is a herby sage-like note coming through, and I think it'd be really interesting to match this wine to like a pumpkin and brown sage butter gnocchi dish or something like that, which I'd usually match to Chardonnay, but I think this wine would work really well with roast pumpkin and sage kind of aromas and flavors, the sweetness of the pumpkin and the savouriness of. I think so too, David. Maybe they shouldn't learn to swim, but Jeremy seems to think it's important for some reason to teach his children to swim. So whatever. But yes, I think that as this wine opens up, and you're right, David, this has been open now for about half an hour, and it's opening up and showing more of that kind of, it's like sage that you've fried in butter or something like that. Kay, how much is left? I'm not sure. There's a bit left, because we've really only sold it to you guys. We show it every now and again at cellar door, but people don't, but because we've got so little, we kind of don't really, it's not really part of the main tasting program. So if you want some, Kay, it's absolutely available. I think we've got at least a couple of layers, which would make sort of 16, 20, 30 cases. I don't know, something like that. Couldn't be more than that, because anyway, I'm not sure. Leave it with me. I'll let you know. But as I say, buy it now, drink it later. I think that's the way to do it. It's opening up. The pepper's coming forward. The sage is coming forward. The herby notes are coming forward. But that black plum is becoming almost kind of sour plum now as it opens up as well, which is really lovely. I think you could match this to Asian food really nicely. Sort of, I'm thinking, Kay, you were saying that you had plum sauce with your beef. I was thinking, I bought some little mini spring rolls from the supermarket the other day. They've got a new fancy Asian freezer, and these ones are vegetarian. They've got cloud mushrooms and a couple of other mushrooms in them. They're really delicious. So yeah, I'm thinking vegetarian spring rolls with some plum sauce would be really lovely with this wine as well. Those sort of flavours could work really well here too, which would be awesome. Cotty wants to know about cellar age, and I honestly don't know, Cotty, because it's a newish wine for us. I can't really say how it's going to age, but I've got to say I think it's looking better now than when we first looked at it, and I think that it's opening up and looking more interesting with air in the glass. So I would say probably at least another few years for it to evolve. But I think if you're wondering what the beeping noise is in the background, Jill's putting the timer on. It was very loud. Hopefully you guys couldn't hear that, and you're like going, what are you talking about? Kay, obsessed with the big strawberry Tocumwell plum sauce. It's just like Mum used to make, but with the plum tree we had. Well, it's funny you should say that, Kay, because I've been making plum sauce for the last couple of years from some plums from Deb and Rob's fruit and veggie garden, and homemade plum sauce from the PMWU cookbook, which is a Presbyterian Methodist Women's Presbyterian Women's Mission. What does the U stand for? Union, maybe. Anyway, their cookbook. It's a churchy cookbook that Mum gave me when I was about 14. It's got a really simple plum sauce recipe in it. It's awesome, so delicious. David, give it time for when I'm ahead in a jar and pour some in. What? David, you're not making any sense. But yeah, I think Zach and Jack, confession time, actually drinking the 2019, the extra years have been kind. Thank you, Zach and Jack. That's good information. So I do think these wines will age well for at least 5 years, but past that, I'm not really sure. I think it's got lots of time. Thank you, Angela. Presbyterian Women's Mission Reunion. Thank you very much. I knew we were nearly there. They've got a plum chutney and 2 plum sauce recipes, and I've done their easier plum sauce recipe, which basically you cook it with some vinegar and some sugar and some salt, and then you put it through a strainer. It's so delicious. Futurama, David. Yes. I think probably you would want to drink this wine in 5 to 8 years, and if you kept it for longer, it might do really good things. It might not. We don't really know. We'll have to reconvene in 10 years' time and taste it again then to make sure that we know what we're talking about. 100 years, David. I won't be here in 100 years unless we can find a time machine, as per your Futurama comment a moment ago. But you never know until you give it a go. Speaking of wine with a little bit of age on it, we are next week. Let's talk about next week first instead of next year. So you've thrown me out, David. Next week we're doing Pinot Gris and Skins, but it's the 2019 vintage, I believe. I think it was 2019 that I put in your box. It's got some age on it. It'll be really fun to taste that together. I'm thinking hard about what our food and wine match should be, because that's going to be our last tasting for a couple of weeks. So it better be pretty good, I reckon. And then we'll also send out the throw you out makes sense, David. So I'll think of something really good for us to cook and eat next week to go with the Pinot Gris and Skins 2019. We will be putting out the Christmas box any minute now. I just need to decide what's going in it and tell someone. And yeah, it's been lovely drinking the Magic Stalks Shiraz with you guys. I'm really impressed with how it's traveling. I love it when I haven't tasted a wine for a while and then I drink it with you guys, and it makes me happy. It's absolutely done that today. I've got a little bit more pate and crackers to eat, so I'm going to go off and do that. What's Simon suggested, Peter? Drinks with Kate. Oh, yes, Drinks with Kate on tour merch. We're going to work on that for the Adelaide trip, and we'll all have to wear matching tracksuits or something awesome like that. Jill said, yuck, she's not coming if there's matching tracksuits. Christmas hams at the super duper market already. I know, David, it's horrific. It's not Drinks with Kate tour t-shirts. Absolutely, David. We'll keep it tasteful, don't worry. Nina wants to know why. We'll have that conversation another time. Until then, like Kath and Kim, absolutely. We should all get those like matching jumpers like Kath and Kim had. God. Oh no, it's all disintegrating now. I think I'm going to just like call it a day now. It's been lovely, Fiona. Fee and David, your suggestions have been taken on board and minuted, and we will speak more on tracksuits and trips another time. I agree, Coddy. No to the tracksuits. All good. Cheers, team. Take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll see you next week with the Pinot Ground skins. Until then, love you all and take care. Behave. Behave, David. Thanks, guys. Cheers.